and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First roll call, all of our councilors are present. The next item that we have is public forum, and I am going to a little break from our norms, and I'll just kind of get us started on our public forum this evening. So you may have recognized some faces that are in the audience, and I've asked former councilors to be here to recognize your 10 years of service. In true fashion of the Newmarket Town Council, a little late. But you know, we're here. So I'm going to go ahead, and anyone who would like to speak, please do so.
John Bentley, 14 Grand Road. I was privileged to serve on the council from 2011 to 2016, so thank you for all your service. I know what a thankless job it is sometimes. I was vice chair 2 years and was actually on the interview committee when we were hiring a new town manager. There were some good candidates for sure, and now looking back over the 10 years, I'm glad we made the decision we did in hiring Steve. I thought back then I was right, and he was the right candidate. Now I know he was the right candidate. Steve came into a tumultuous time for our little town. Questions about missing money, audits, removal or repair of the dam, EPA forcing us to build a treatment plant, just to name a few of the many major issues we were dealing with. Steve took on all challenges with energy, fiscal responsibility, and due diligence. I had occasion over the years as a councilor, even since I've left council, to talk to department heads and leaders, and they have respect for Steve, and many have told me they were glad he was at the helm. Steve's calm presence, overall knowledge, and approachability make him an asset we've been lucky to have here in Newmarket. Steve, it was a pleasure working with you. I thank you for your professionalism and dedication, and I'll be back in 10 years for your retirement.
Thank you. Hopefully I can.
Good evening. Amy Burns, 145 Ashmont Road. So just a little bit from when I served on the council. My first meeting as town councilor, I was very excited, but I was also very nervous. When I walked in the room, the nameplates were all set at each councilor's seat. When I looked for my spot, I noticed I was seated to the left of Steve. I thought to myself, oh my God, that means I have to vote first. As I walked up to take my seat, Steve said to me, I seated you here next to me in case you have any questions, and that way I can help you. This is what I think of when I think of Steve Fournier. He is always there to help and of everything you need. And by the way, that is the best seat. I think very highly of you, Steve, and Newmarket is a better place because of you. Congratulations on your 10 years.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Helen Sanders, and I'm one of the former counselors. Having worked with Steve, I feel it would be difficult to find anyone more dedicated to the town of Newmarket than Steve. His attention to the many details that are necessary to keep the town running smoothly, his ability to deal successfully with the various town departments and their employees, and his no-nonsense budgeting skills make him a valuable asset to the town of Newmarket. And I'm especially grateful for his handling of the COVID pandemic. Congratulations, Steve, on the past 10 years, and best wishes.
Thank you.
They're going to fight over
I was hoping it was going to be a dual act for the both of them. See, nothing has changed, right?
I figured if I waited long enough, there'd be less things to say, because all the good stuff would be said, and that would work fine for me. But, and John hit on a lot of them. My years were 2013 to 2019. And I thought about it, I always figured like you'd been here a long time when I started on the council, but it was, you were pretty new then.
Yeah.
And on the theme of John, said about tumultuous times, there were a lot of big challenges. The school thing was a big thing, even though, it wasn't our thing. It really had the town whipped up for a long time. The dam, you can go on for a list of things in it. Now, I'm in the distance now, and I don't follow things so much, but it seems remarkably calmer now. And maybe that's because I'm in the distance, but it seems like a lot of things that you've had to deal with over those years have reached some level of resolution, and it's a lot more forward-looking and planning now. It's an exciting time for the town, and I think you've done a really exemplary job. I think you communicate well, and my gosh, I remember a lot of evaluation, communicates really well, and I think the town, it really appreciates that. So thank you for all your good work, and it's an exciting place to be, and I think you've really helped that along.
Al, 22 Smith Garrison Road. I think I got this backwards. I think you're never supposed to follow a good act. I also worked with Steve the whole time he's been here. I was on the search committee, and whoever, it was John, I think we were on it together. We worked very hard to get somebody that we thought would be committed to this community. We looked at the backgrounds of some people that kind of job hopped from one to another, and one of our primary concerns was to have somebody that would stick with us for some period of time. I'm actually still working with, there's the other.
The doors were locked.
You are?
Never mind what I said. Steve, this isn't going to surprise you at all what I'm going to say next, but I am still having the pleasure of working with Steve, and the fire chief, and the police chief, to get an exit in this council room. And to have one exit in a council room doesn't make sense, especially when it's full of kids. So we're plodding away. We've got everybody's support. If you guys will hopefully support them as we go through this budget process. When you get old like me, you tend to get hooked on something and you can't shake it, and that's kind of been my hook. Like others have said, Steve's knowledge of state law is unbelievable. You ask him a question, he knows the answer. And better than anybody else I've worked with. He's got it at his fingertips, he knows the application, he knows case history. His financial knowledge is great, always has been. He knows his numbers, he knows his budgets, he knows the financial strategy, which I think you folks are going to have to deal with this year big time as it relates to changes in home prices and so forth. It's the kind of guy he is, he knows his numbers. Most importantly, he's been with us for 10 years. I will briefly share with you my last 2 terms serving on the school committee, during which time we've been through 4 superintendents, and no criticism at all of the people that were those 4 superintendents. But the failure of strategy to continue from year to year. A new superintendent comes in, has a new theory or feeling about how education should be provided. The next one may or may not agree with it. The benefit of having Steve, in addition to all the other strengths I talked about, was continuity. I know what his strategy is. I get it. He pounded it into us for my 2 terms on the budget. So somebody earlier said, I hope we get 10 more years out of it. I'd like to see a 25th anniversary. That's my goal.
It's closer to retirement age, though.
Yeah, I know you guys, but I got to tell you, in the real world,
I know.
and I say that with all sincerity, Steve. I couldn't think of a better town manager, and we've had our agreements and disagreements, but please, I hope everybody here will continue to support him. And Steve, I hope you'll continue to provide the great service you have to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, here comes my,
You're the ringer.
You're the one that had to sign the contract. So. Yeah.
Wow, this is low.
It's my height.
That's Phil Nazaro, 7 Raymond Lane. So, Steve, I'm here to offer my thanks and congratulations.
Thank you.
There's a piece of me that refuses to believe it's been 10 years. I'm too vain to believe that it's been 10 years and that I've aged that much long since we first had you in this room for interviews with many of the people that are here today. Really, it's kind of shocking. So I'll keep it brief, which I know is hard for me to do. But my favorite class, I was a history major undergrad. My favorite class was the social history of America, because oftentimes, not oftentimes, almost think of any history class you've been to, it's always war to war to war to event to like big event, a thing that's like causes. But the social history of America really, to me, was the time of prosperity, those times where things were quiet, where it wasn't without controversial things happening, but there wasn't a bunch of noise and cacophony and a bunch of people at each other's throats or like wars going on. And when I think of the last 10 years, I think about what has happened over many iterations of the group that's sitting here today, it has been relatively quiet, which I think is a huge testament to the steady hand that has been in the corner office of the second floor of this building. So I certainly will say it hasn't been without controversy. There's certainly been things that have happened that have been controversial, but I think there's really 2 key ways that you've approached it that I think have allowed it to be like with relative calm. One, I think, is just the commitment to the community. Like in 10 years, you've really demonstrated it's a long time to be at this community. It was said in non-public, so I don't want to say like too out here, but like, I don't know if we haven't unsealed the minutes. But I'm not sure everyone thought you were going to be here for a decade during those conversations. So I think that just shows such a great commitment to our community. But I think the other is a commitment to communication. That we have not always agreed. We will continue to not always agree on things, but we can always have a conversation. It can always be a respectful dialogue that allows us to collaboratively come to a solution as a community. And your ability to help engage with multiple members of the community, regardless of their position on any issue in the town, I think is just a huge testament to your leadership, and has just been a huge boon to this community. So thank you, Steve, for your 10 years of service to our community.
Thanks.
I forgot one thing.
Okay.
I talked about your financial strength. The other one, I've been really impressed by, Steve, is your staff. What a great staff you have. Every one of them, I can't think of anybody on your staff that is an A+. And that's super important.
100%.
Thanks.
I'm going to add on that, your new hires, first rate. I mean, they really are super duper people that have come on. You had great people, but new hires were.
Thank
I
you.
didn't know we were going to get around to
Okay, but you guys have to come to the microphone. Come to the microphone.
Usually I'm the one yelling that.
No, but Mr. Zuck said about, we were calling the references, and the one word we had, a few different people told us, he's great, but he ain't going to stay there. He's going to, seriously, told us. I don't know how long he'll stay there. He's got bigger things. He's going to go, he's going to be senator, he's going to be governor. So we heard that from a couple places. I'm like, uh-oh, but I'm glad.
Thank you.
So in addition to the people who are here tonight, we have, in your 10 years, it's including us sitting here, it's 25 counselors that you've worked with. Yeah. And so, I reached out to all of them, and we have some statements to read. So I'll kick us off. I kind of distributed them a little bit because nobody wants to hear me talk. This is from Councilor Casey Finch, who couldn't be here this evening. And it says, Steve, congrats on your 10th anniversary serving the town of Newmarket. Newmarket is lucky to have someone of your caliber to help guide the town through the ins and outs of municipal law in New Hampshire. You are extremely knowledgeable, yet work to further hone your craft. You have your hands full in town. yet take the time to build a network that pays dividends for town projects. You are realistic, yet open to finding unique ways to implement new ideas. I know on my time as a counselor, you were such a tremendous resource, providing support, offering resources, and always being available to answer questions, big or small, or shouting a friendly good morning counselor at one of the local 10Ks. Your care and enthusiasm for your work is clear. Newmarket is lucky to have you. Congrats.
And this is from former counselor John Kuiper. To Steve Fournier, Newmarket Town Manager. When we look back at the last 10 years in Newmarket's history, we see a town transformed. Our downtown has been revitalized, our schools have been renovated, and our water treatment plant has been upgraded to protect the Great Bay. In addition to these costly environmental upgrades, a solar array is in the works on town property. The community composting program has been running for several years, and hundreds of acres of open space have been preserved. And now we even have a splash pad that is the envy of all our neighbors. Steve, you've been a wonderful caretaker of our town, and I've seen firsthand how you have managed the difficult task of maintaining fiscally responsible budgets while maintaining the town infrastructure and providing residents the services that they need. Recently, I've had a few friends move to Dover. All of them say the same thing. It's okay, but it just doesn't have the same feel of downtown Newmarket. I want to move back. Thank you for 10 years of budgets, stressful town meetings, and wonderful growth that we can all be proud of. Jonathan Kuiper.
Can I get that statement about Dover, like, written somewhere for my stepfather, the mayor? All right.
Councilor Ward,
All right.
Councilor Ward
All
has
right.
a statement.
Yeah, so this one's from Gretchen Cast. To the town of Newmarket residents and council members, I wish to add my appreciation for and recognition of the service of town manager Steve Fournier and has rendered to us over the last 10 years. During my tenure on the council, I have always found his advice sound and well backed up. Evidence of his excellence as a manager were the many innovative ideas and well-run projects supported by highly talented staff, which always speak well of their manager. Steve is clearly capable of much, and I hope he'll continue to share his know-how and skills in Newmarket for a long while. Many thanks, Steve, and congratulations.
Councilor Lamatina.
Yeah, this is from Mike LaBranch, Town Councilor, 2006 to 2013, excuse me, and also the current chair of the Budget Committee. Steve, it was a privilege and honor to serve on the search committee that selected you as our then town administrator. Although I served a short time on the council after you were hired, I could see the positive direction you guided the town into. Your success over the last 10 years for Newmarket has been outstanding. You helped to guide the town during the COVID period and continue to move the town into the 21st century. I wish you continued success, and thank you for helping to make Newmarket a desirable community to live in. It's from Mike LaBranch.
And I have one more to read, and that's from Ed Carmichael. And it says, "Hi, Steve. I had just joined the Newmarket Town Council in 2012 when you were selected to lead the town to bigger and better things. I enjoyed your leadership for the 3 years that I got to work with you. Good luck in the future. By the way, it did help your interview process by you wearing a new business suit and having a new haircut."
Thanks.
Haircut?
That was the same. It's the same haircut. It's the same.
And then I also wanted to invite any counselors who wanted to say a few words.
I'd like to say thank you, Steve. You're a guiding force for us newbies on the town council here. Help guide us through. I also want to say something to the effect, we've talked a lot about what Steve does here in town. Steve is also very involved outside of town. He's on the Peace Development Board of Directors, and in his position there, he represents the town of Newmarket. Although he doesn't actually represent the town of Newmarket, he presents a very good picture to the people there of what the town of Newmarket is.
Thank you. Any other counselors want
I think it's all been said, but congratulations on 10 years. I think you've been doing a great job.
Thank you.
to? Counselor Brayback.
Yeah, I mean, everything that has been said, second, third, fourth. But really wanted to thank you for how well you support all of the counselors. Newbies was mentioned, but all of us other than Counselor Weinstein are less than one term in. So it's a particularly new council, and you've really supported us and empowered us to be able to hit the ground running and be effective, I think, right away. So I just really appreciate that. I know I personally felt pretty intimidated first starting, and so we wouldn't have been able to get things done without your steady leadership and your knowledge of town and state kind of regulation. So thank you for that.
I would just add on to the end of it, onto what Councilor Braybeck and Councilor Lamattina have already said, as well as some of the former town councilors, but helping people that have no idea what they're doing. I speak of myself. To help us along in the process, because it is definitely a process. Having been in the military 14 years, you know nothing moves quickly, and I guess I was prepared for that. But prior to here, Steve and I have had some interaction, we'll call it, and it hasn't made a bit of difference either way, which is nice. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Seeing no other comments, I just want to add, one of the, I guess, I don't know if it's necessarily a rule, but it certainly is a formality of being the chair, is that, we wait until everyone else has spoken before you get to add your 2 cents. Sometimes that's a blessing, and sometimes it's not. I will say that tonight, it was really a privilege to be able to sit here and listen to all of the comments from the counselors who have, who I've served with all of you. So it was really, again, a pleasure to hear those comments. So I don't really have anything else to say or to add other than thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have just a token of our appreciation from the town council.
Thank you. It's a puppy. I'll say good round. Oh, thank you. I like that.
It's from a local artist.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
John Herman, I'll say,
Thanks.
local artist, available at Good Juju.
Thank you.
So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you. And may I say something?
You may.
I'm not usually a loss of words, but when something, probably everybody knows, if something's not exactly right when I come into the council chambers, like flip a little. And when the TV crew was telling me that there may be a Zoom coming in, I'm like, I didn't know anything about that. So they said Tony knew. So
It was properly posted.
it was good. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for my 10 years here so far. First, the group that put their trust in me and hired me, thank you. I know the first negative months, because I was already getting phone calls before I started here when I was in my other community on some projects that were going on. And the first couple of years were difficult. But we did it together and got through it and made sure that the town is in a better place after that. To the other counselors, thank you. I mean, I can't say enough that, my job is to make recommendations. It's the council that makes the decisions. And the council's been making the decisions to move this community forward. I need to thank my staff, everybody. Department heads, everybody in the town. They do everything to make this town great. I've not had an employee here that is not proud of working for the town of Newmarket. And it's amazing when you discuss things like what's the turnover rate in the police department, and it's very low because they like working here. I've had, until recently, I was the short-term person of the executive team. Most department heads were here a very long time. And one of the best comments I received when one of them retired a number of years ago said, first you take it kind of personal that somebody's leaving, And I said, well, why? And they go, because we trust you will help make the right decision for my replacement. And that was one of the nicest, the best things I've ever heard in my career. And that happened here, and I think that, you know, it goes to show that everybody who works here loves this community and wants to commit to it. And to the people of Newmarket, thank you. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for, we started out with a wastewater plant, and nobody knew that we were going to be going through a pandemic for almost 2 years. I've tried to give straight and honest information. You may not have always wanted to hear it, but I never really beat around the bush and said that, you know, something else. And thank you all for supporting me and the community for supporting me. So thank you very, very much for everything.
Well done with no preparation.
Oh, thanks to Wendy. I don't know if you know, Wendy is the one who keeps me in line and says you need to do X, Y, Z, or you should do this. And yes.
Wendy supplied all of the email addresses and helped me keep it quiet.
Thanks.
Sneaky.
Doesn't like surprises.
I could tell the Zoom thing through him.
Can I make a motion from the floor?
Out of order. What's your motion?
Might we shake his hand?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
I would love that.
That's cute.
Thank you for everything. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
You sure was out of clear room?
You guys don't have to renegotiate a contract anymore.
Yeah. Can we do that now?
After my term.
I just got that.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I thought he was still in high school.
Oh, good, we did turn off mute on that.
Yeah, I went downstairs, yeah.
Earlier, before
Oh,
the meeting
right.
had started, that there was talk that like our mute button, so they couldn't hear us, so I looked over, I was like, oh no, did we not?
That whole thing, that would have been terrible.
Someone just yelling in the quiet in the background, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So there we go. I should have told them all that you were presenting your budget.
I know that. I was thinking that after they were saying something. I was like, oh, I got to do the budget later.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that to you, Steve. Oh, I have to join the meeting. Sorry, wait, did it work? Save. Oh, so now, okay. So is it working for everybody, the request to speak? And
Yes.
Okay. And am I receiving that at this point? Can
I-
someone just test it?
I'll test it.
Thank you.
You're not getting it? No.
Did you close out a last meeting?
Yeah, and I just joined this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now mine does say request to speak,
Okay.
but
We don't know
I
who
don't.
gets the
Oh, wait, no.
All right,
That's it.
Oh, you know
Oh,
what?
there it is.
Yeah, we may have to be on the topic.
okay, I pressed
Oh,
response.
I
okay.
just clicked
All
it
right.
randomly.
Yeah.
I'm not in anything.
All right, I will try my best to keep track of this. See how that goes. Okay, so the next item is for the acceptance of minutes, and I would accept a motion to approve the October 5th minutes.
So move.
Second.
Are there any questions, changes? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Council Brayback?
Aye.
Council Lamatina?
Aye.
Council White?
Aye.
Council Ward?
Aye.
Council Blackstone?
Aye.
Council Conley?
Aye.
Council Weinstein?
Abstain.
Motion passes 6-0-1.
The next item that we have is the report of the town manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First item on my written report is that the New Hampshire Municipal Association Annual Conference registration open. It's Wednesday, November 16th and Thursday, November 17th at the Doubletree by Hilton in Manchester's downtown. Theme this year is Getting Used to Different. This year's conference will be held as a live in-person event both days with simultaneous live streaming for virtual attendees. If you're interested in attending, please email me, we can register you. Just a reminder, we also have a council meeting tonight on the 16th, so yeah. Just an update on the facility study. That we did have a pre-proposal meeting on the 12th. We had 2 firms attend, and we're going to be waiting for bids in November. I just wanted to give an update on that because I know it's a rather large project they're going to be dealing with. And this evening, I am going to present my proposed fiscal year 2024 budget.
Can I turn this, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it should.
Do we want to go through any questions about the
Sure.
department reports
Yeah, we can do
before
that.
we do that?
Yeah.
Were there any questions or comments regarding the department reports or the other aspects of the town manager report? I did just want to comment on the overdose rates that the PD reported on, which are the highest that they've been, I think, since 2017. I mean, it's really concerning. And I know that Chief Jordan mentioned that this is not a Newmarket issue, like this happening all over, and I've certainly, seen the news, but just something I think I'm saying it more for the community, for the public to be aware that it's concerning. It's a little scary. That was my only comment. So seeing no others, if you continue.
Okay.
Thank you.
So tonight I'm going to present to the council my proposed fiscal year 2024 budget. What I normally do is try to start off with the state of the economy. And the first thing I want to show is what the unemployment rate currently is. I went back for the last 3 years, 2020 to 2022 in July, on what the unemployment rate. I don't think anybody was surprised, but in 2020 the unemployment rate was 10.5% during the height of the pandemic, and nationally 7.9% in the state, 8.4% in Rockingham County, 7.4% in the Portsmouth metro area, which we're part of, and 7.6% in the town. It got better 2021 with 5.7% unemployed, 3.4 in the state, 3.3 in the county, 2.9 in the Portsmouth metro, and we had 1.9, which really anything under 2 is considered negligible. It's not. It could just be a fluctuation of employment at the time. So we went from 10.5 nationwide. Now the unemployment rate is 3.8. Statewide, it's 1.9. Countywide, it's 1.9. Metro-wide, it's 1.6. And town-wide, it's 1.5. So unemployment, it's almost zero. I mean, we don't have a lot of unemployment right now. On the flip side is the consumer price index, the cost of what goods. Went up 1.3% in 2018. I went 4 years on this one just to show a little difference. 2020 at 1.1 in Northeast and 2.1 in the Boston region, which we are part of. In 2020, during the pandemic, cost of consumer price index only went up 1%, 1.1 Northeast, and didn't even go up a percentage in Boston. And this is where we started to see the inflation kick in. It went up 5.4% in 2021, 4.3 in Northeast in 2021, and 4.3 in Boston in 2021. And here's the big difference. Between 2021 and 2022, it's gone up 8.5% nationally for inflation, 7.3% Northeast, and 7% in Boston. So what's this mean? The cost of goods have gone up that much. Mm-hmm. Fuel, food, any types of goods like that. We're seeing this is inflation, period. We did hear that Social Security will be coming out with a new rate, cost of living adjustment, and it's about 10%. Wow. That's the highest it's been in 40 years for retirees because of inflation. Mm-hmm. So what's this mean for our budget? Well, when those things go up, it costs us a lot more money to purchase items. So this is a direct impact on our budget. This is one of those things I've been warning about my sky is falling news for the last 2 years during the pandemic, that this was going to hit. It's hitting. So I just want to go over what the estimated tax rate that we're going to be setting soon is supposed to be. The local school is 1984, what would be 1984, 69% of the budget. The state school is $1.41 or 5%. I just want people to realize when we say state school, it's not money that we send to Concord and we get something back. Concord makes us raise this. So that just stays here. It's not, we don't get a check from Concord from the state school budget. So as you can see, almost 75% of the budget is actually goes to the school for the tax rate. 23% or $6.50 of the tax rate is the town. That's what we're discussing here. And finally, 3% or 93 cents is the county. This is just an estimate. We haven't set the rate yet. We're hopefully doing it soon. We're just waiting for stuff from the state. And here's a 5-year comparison. So we're estimating the tax rate is going to be $19.84. Sorry. The school portion is $19.84 coming up. That's an increase from $17.62, which is an increase from $16.50, which is an increase from $15.93, which is a decrease from $19.23, which is a year of a revaluation. The next line down there is this is the town at $6.50. We've been pretty steady with our tax rate. We have been for the time I've been here. We try not to have any large increases. We are going to have a slight one this year between $5.84 to $6.50. That's mainly because of investments we made last year. That we had to, we knew we had some stuff we had to do after the pandemic, and we put on hold. So we created some new positions and did some hiring. So that's just where we are. In the bottom two at the state school and the county. The other item is our assessed valuation. Why is this important? Because the assessed valuation determines how much money we can raise. So, rule of thumb, every dollar that we raise on taxes, it's $995,227 in the budget in cash. So it's basically you take that number, divide it by 1,000, and that's the value. Our current valuation is $995,277,048, which is an increase over the previous year of $987,870,471. In comparison, in 2018, our valuation of the town was $763,201,228. So the valuation of the town has gone up over $230 million in the last 5 years. This is a reflection of the market, housing market, because we do it by market rate, by assessed valuation. And as I mentioned in the past, recently in meetings, this is the concerning number. So 2019 is our last year we did a revaluation. The value of the town was about 96%. Our valuation of town now is 72%. So that almost $1 billion, that only represents 72% of the actual value of the town.
Okay.
So think of that going up about 25%. So that's the value of the town is probably about 25, almost 30% higher. Sorry.
Okay.
My big concern is if the market crashes and we're up and we reevaluate up here and the home values drop, we're going to have a lot of people whose houses are worth more. Are assessed more than they're worth. That actually happened to us in 2014 when we corrected it. We were at actually over 107% evaluation. We did the reval. We dropped 10 points. This is a red flag to me, especially when you saw the other slides with the inflation rates, that we're hitting both sides. We can't spend with the inflation that high. We didn't have that at the last time we had the situation. Inflation wasn't high, but the home values were undervaluated. This is my big red flag. So, listening to the council and as we've said over the last few years, I've asked all department heads to come in with extremely lean budgets. That being said, I'm proposing a budget of $16,155,017, or an increase of 6.16%. The total increase is $937,176. General fund is seeing an increase of $360,937. Special revenue funds of $425,433, and the enterprise fund of $150,806. So what are these funds? The general fund is what everybody thinks is general operations. It makes up 60% of the budget, which is $9.7 million. And that's mainly raised through taxation and fees, motor vehicle fees and other revenues that we make. The second is the special revenue funds. Those are the funds that can charge fees to for their operations, plus the library. We put this library in there because we provide them with a grant, and then they have the say of their bottom line. So that's the recreation revolving, the solid waste, and the library. That makes up 12%, or a little under $1.9 million. And finally, the enterprise fund, which is water and sewer, which is only paid through rates, and that's $4.5 million, and that's 28% of the operating budget. So where's the increase going? Electricity, we're seeing an increase of $152,850. That's the big one. We knew this was coming. Everybody has their bill at home. We're not immune. We have the same situation. Heating fuels, $109,900. Health insurance is going up $83,217. We're starting to see the cost of health insurance go up for the things that we paid for during the pandemic. Workers' compensation is going up $15,378. Salt, commodity, $35,000. Gasoline, $11,500. Diesel is going up $22,000. Fire part-time salaries is $22,912. The reason? Well, we have a very, very robust volunteer fire department, and we're thankful that we do. We also don't have enough people have coverage all the time, so we started the part-time program. So we're seeing the gradually fire department turning more silver and retiring from being a volunteer, and it's something we're going to have to address within the next 10 to 15 years. Liability insurance is up $18,704. The library salaries, it went up $51,524. If you look in the operating budget, the library and I presented two different numbers. The library trustees recommended in their budget pay increases for all their employees in the next fiscal year. I did not. We are currently in the middle of a salary survey, and I said we would not put any new salary increases except for the merit pool until we see the salary survey. So I reduced their budget when I presented it. This $51,524 is to move the child librarian from part-time to full-time. Library health insurance, to go with that, went up $28,445. Solid waste collection, we saw it $25,000. We don't know exactly yet because we haven't gone through, finished the proposals that we'll have for the new contract. In water and sewer chemicals, we had water at $22,000 and sewer at $37,000. As you can see, there are no new positions. There is no new programming. These are all operational costs that we're seeing this increase from. We may have a potential warrant article, and while I'm here, I'm going to discuss another item that we may have. So the article would be to raise $100,000 for planning work for the municipal storm drain system in Moody Point. The town will receive 100% principal forgiveness, and interest payments would be made through the previously established stormwater capital reserve fund. So there'd be no impact on the tax rate. We've been doing this a lot with the water and sewer grants the last few years. But the law is we need to go out and ask the voters since it's technically a loan. Capital reserve funds, that's a big thing. That's our savings accounts. We're not recommending a lot. I can tell you that, the Public Works requested $150,000. I reduced that to $75,000 contribution. Building improvement is $25,000. Road improvements, we'll leave them level at $250,000 because That's gonna be less roads, even though it's the same amount of money. Stormwater management, 0. McAllen's dam we finished, thankfully. The fire department, the CIP committee recommended 0, that's why that's there. The fire department did request funds there, but I went with the recommendation of the CIP committee. The fire chief, that on the morning of our workshop, will explain how much money, the money if the council wishes to add some for that. Police vehicles, we took it out of the capital reserve and we put it in the operating budget, so it's still there. Dispatch, they requested $33,666. I reduced that to $15,000. Veterans Memorial Trust is $2,000. Our 300th anniversary is coming up, so we put $2,000 in there. Recreational facilities, they requested $62,333. I put in $25,000. One thing that I would look at as well is that the Recreation Revolving Fund currently has a healthy fund balance. We could use those funds to put in here so they could use it for parks maintenance, which is the CIP committee recommended. The recreation director is asking to leave it because of the fact that they want to use it for some projects they may be having coming up. So we just left that there at this point in time. Master plan, we're still doing that. We have $10,000 in that fund. And finally, there's a request for telecommunications of $20,000 to go in the capital reserve fund. Actually, there's one other missing on there, and I don't have the number in front of me, and I apologize. We're requesting a contribution to the compensated earned time capital reserve fund. What that is when somebody leaves employment, any time that they have earned, we will withdraw from there to pay out instead of hitting the operating budgets. So yeah, I don't know why it's missing there, but we do have a contribution there as well. One of the things that's not here, but it's water and sewer in their departments, they both have contributions to capital reserve funds listed in their budget separately. I've been talking to the director of the environmental services, and we'll have something hammered out for the budget workshop. As many people know that we've been working on we've been actually accepting more sludge at our facility, and that has been making a significant amount of money. However, by having more sludge, the way they have to collect it, they have to go through the Shanda Park area, that area, which has been a complaint. He has a way in a plan to fix it, and part of the reason why we have to accept all this sludge is from septic system haulers, is that when we made the grant, we accepted these grants, that's one of the things we have to do. What he's recommending is the sewer fund balance has about $1.8 million in it. If he withdrew $1.2 million from fund balance and put it into the capital reserve fund, we could do the project of moving the necessary septic collection system so it goes on Young Lane, and doesn't impact the residential neighborhood. And it also would help out by cleaning up the system, that when we discharge, nitrogen levels will be lower. We're trying to figure out if we have to do it through the budgetary process right now, or we could do it another way. We believe we're going to have to do a budgetary process, but it just came up that we may be able to do this. So we're going to have probably one amendment there. It will have no impact on rates, since we're taking it from fund balance, and it's basically a booking situation. You'll see I'm $1.2 million on the expense side and $1.2 million on the revenue side to do that, but I'll have more information hopefully beginning of next week. Speaking of revenues, that's the second part of the budget. I'm anticipating a total of $9,622,169 in revenues, and that is made up of the 4.725 for the general fund, $550,196, and finally the special revenue funds. And the reason why we need the revenue, as I always say, this slide is an estimate only using the data as we have of today, and that will be the estimated tax impact. So how we determine the tax rate is that you take the gross appropriation, which is $16,155,117, less revenues of $18,915,428. Add overlay, which is any abatements that we may have and we have to pay, add war service credits, which is all the veterans exemptions that we have in the community. So the net appropriation will be $6,697,848. You divide that by the valuation of the town, which is $995,277.48, and the estimated tax rate will be $6.73, which would be a increase of 18 cents over the previous year. That is all I have for the budget. As I mentioned, we'll have a workshop on the 29th, beginning at 9 a.m., and we will hammer through all the departments and go from there.
Councilor Matino.
Two questions. Can we get a copy of the capital improvement, what the actual detail line items are?
Yes,
And second, on the 29th, will the welfare director be there or some, or
I'll be there to discuss. I mean, we can't get into, so
I would like to ask some questions of the welfare director, or I can send them to you
yeah, that'd be
first
better
and-
so I can make
okay.
sure, because there's certain things we can't say in public when it comes to welfare.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
strict, it was not personal.
No, not personnel, but, so welfare is one of the departments that we have to pay for no matter what happens.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
opinion is it's underfunded.
Oh, okay. No problem, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yes, we will have that, we'll, yeah, ask some questions and we can get that.
I'll send them to you first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? I just wanted to add that the town manager and myself met with the school superintendent and the chair of the school board, just really to touch base in a more formal way about our budget season and any upcoming projects. So it was just a nice conversation, just to, again, like relay that information, what they were planning on, what we were planning on. There are really no surprises
No.
from the school side. So, and that's it. So, moving on to committee reports. Are there any committee reports? Councilor Blackstone.
The planning board met and discussed the detached accessory dwelling unit. And there was quite a lively discussion with respect to the number of units allowable. Bard had put together a proposal that said you could allow 2 ADUs on a property. That was considered by many to be too many, and that they wanted to restrict it to 1. And we had a long discussion about that. The chairman wasn't there, and so we didn't vote on anything, but Bart has apparently gone to several other committees to get input on it. So if anyone here has an opinion on it, I'd be happy to communicate it to the planning board.
Thank you. When you say ADUs, I know
Detached ADU.
Yeah. Detached. But
Yeah.
there was a lot of. I watched. I didn't watch the whole meeting, but I kind of skipped around a little bit. So I watched portions of the conversation because it was a long conversation.
Yeah.
And so there was some
It's
conversation.
actually quite a contentious issue.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it. Yeah.
There was some conversation about maybe one of those ADUs would have to be attached and one could be unattached, but that's not where it netted out.
No,
Okay.
that was just a lot of ideas were thrown out.
Councilor Ward.
I just wanted to question, just quickly, what's the problem with having 2 ADUs in theory? I was curious. What was the contention about? I mean, if it's a long question, answer, you can talk later. But.
So I don't have a firm answer. I think the impression was that it could change the way a neighborhood looks in a way that maybe wasn't intentional or wouldn't have been the intention of the neighborhood.
Okay.
What are the next steps?
Well, the next meeting, we're just going to keep going. As you saw, Bart went around, to the various towns, and he got all the information for how people were doing it, and he drafted like a really detailed proposal. And now the planning board has decided they want to review it word by word. And so we're going through and making all kinds of editorial changes to it, to the point where it's probably not even going to look anywhere near what he originally wrote. But to Bart's, compliment, he just says, I'm just here to write it down. He doesn't take offense or hasn't, But it was to the point where at the end of the meeting, several people came up to him and apologized for apparently tearing his ideas, his document apart. So we'll see.
Okay. Well,
But
thank you.
the ADU concept is still very solid. We're definitely going to do it. It's just a question of whether it'll be one or two is allowed.
Just a quick question also
Yeah.
of you, that the basis for this requested change would be for affordability in housing, or to offer more affordable housing. Is that what the basis for it is?
Well, the generic basis is twofold. One was the traditional ADU has been the classic in-law apartment, so that, your elderly parents could live there, or even the elderly parents could move into it and rent the house, or as a way to supplement income. But we believe that it also is going to have the effect of diversifying the community by allowing, a higher density of housing and a more affordable housing.
Okay.
Yeah, affordability and diversity is certainly. This was kind of started by a counselor named Kuiper. I don't know if you know John Kuiper.
Very well.
Oh, okay.
Quite
But
well.
this is kind of his baby, right? I mean, is that mistaken to say that? That's how I kind of always viewed it.
So,
And he was, he wanted low-cost housing.
well, thank you. I think that if there are any other comments, we could probably direct them to Councilor Blackstone. and
Or
you
the
could-
planning board,
and-
yeah.
Yeah, or the planning board directly. And we could handle it that way, probably, until we have some more kind of concrete information. I would say I looked for agendas for the planning board, and they were not available for the last few meetings. And this was,
Yep.
whatever that was, your meeting was last week,
Yeah,
I
I
think?
get them from Bart, so.
But it wasn't online.
Yeah.
On our system. So I think it was, for the last few meetings, they weren't available.
We'll make sure they're up there.
So, no other committee reports? It's a good week. All right, so moving on, we have one resolution in the second reading, and that is Resolution 2022-2023-10. It's the Senior Center roof replacement, and I would accept a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
I'll second.
Did you want to speak to
Sure.
that?
We got approached by the Newmarket Housing Authority. So technically, the Sunrise Sunset Senior Center is owned by the Newmarket Housing Authority, but we have an agreement with them that we maintain it, so we could have senior center. Their insurance carrier noticed that the roof needed a dire need of repair, and they approached us to see if we to repair the roof. We received 3 bids, and we are recommending that we go with Great Bay Roofing and withdraw not to exceed $16,000 from the Building Capital Improvement Fund, Capital Reserve Fund, to replace the roof. I did include a picture of the roof, and you can see the shingles need some work. And I know it was asked to us about solar, and we are going to work on that, but we need to get this done before the winter, so we don't have any more damage done there. So that is being considered when doing so.
Thank you.
Can I ask you,
Councilor Blackstone.
just for my information, who is the Newmarket Housing Authority?
Newmarket Housing Authority is a federal agency in which the council appoints commissioners that oversees our public housing, which is Grandview Terrace down.
Oh, it's part of that.
That's who oversees it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's the division of HUD.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll just say I highly encourage you to look at solar, and especially with electricity prices as they are, I think that it's an ideal location for solar. Whenever we are replacing a roof, we should probably be considering at least the exploration of whether or not it's a possibility. Seeing no other comments, if you could call the roll, please.
Council Brayback?
Aye.
Council Lamatina?
Aye.
Council White?
Aye.
Council Blackstone?
Aye.
Council Ward?
Aye.
Council Conley?
Aye.
Council Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
You here for that?
Yep.
Oh.
Then we have two resolutions in the first reading, and the first is Resolution 2022-2023-13, approval of the fiscal year 2024 budget. Whereas the town manager submitted his budget for the next fiscal year to the town council on October 15th, 2022, and whereas the town council, after reviewing the proposed budget and making various changes, desires to forward the municipal budget committee a proposed budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved by the Newmarket Town Council that the annual budget for the town of Newmarket for fiscal year 2024 submitted to the town council by the town manager recommends to the municipal budget committee for its review the following appropriations. General fund, $9,746,620. Special funds, $1,858,202. Enterprise water and sewer funds, $4,550,196 for a total of $16,155,017. First reading, October 19th, 2022. I think this might be the first year, maybe, that we don't have to, like, we'll have the second reading immediately after.
Yeah, we don't have to suspend the rules.
Yeah, we don't have to suspend the rules, which is very exciting.
Very professional.
Yeah. The next item that we have is resolution 2022-2023-14, annual lease payment for Fire Engine 5. Whereas the Fire Rescue Department is paying for Fire Engine 5 through a lease agreement with tax-exempt leasing corp. And whereas the annual payment for Fire Engine 5 is $42,449.47 to be paid using the Fire and Rescue Department Capital Reserve account. And whereas the Fire Rescue Department Capital Reserve Fund has a balance of $129,215 as of August 30th, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved by the Newmarket Town Council that the town manager is authorized to pay the tax-exempt leasing corp annual invoice for Engine 5 for $42,449.47 due November 20th, 2022 with funds from the Fire and Rescue Department Capital Reserve Fund. First reading, October 19th, 2022. Moving on. Any, oh, there's no correspondence.
There is none.
Okay, so you just didn't add it in.
Yeah.
It's usually on the agenda. It
Oh.
threw me for a minute.
Oh, it should be, but, okay, no.
Yeah, no, so, oh no, it does. I'm sorry. Here it is. Okay. Any closing comments by town councilors? Yes.
Just want to let everybody know that on Wednesday, November 9th, 7 o'clock, the Energy and Environment Committee will be having a forum, public forum, to introduce to the public what community power is and what their objectives are.
Thank you.
Is that here? Where-
Yes, it's here at the town hall.
I just wanted to remind the public that the Rex Halloween haunt, dang, is this coming Saturday, which is different than past years. It's usually the Saturday of Halloween, so I hope people have fun with that. And, you know, if the rec director still wants to bring us candy at the budget meeting, even though she doesn't have a Halloween event that day, that, you know, we wouldn't be upset about it.
It's true. Any other comments? I just wanted to make one, and that was that we did have a cleanup this past Saturday. We had 15 volunteers and picked up 26 bags of trash. The majority of the bags were on Ash Swamp and Grant, but we also had bags on Hersey, Bay Road, Wildley Falls Road, Dame, and a bag at Shannon Park. So thank you to everyone who participated. There were a lot. It's always sort of a mixed bag. I never know who's going to show up because I don't do sign-ups ahead of time, really just because I want it to be easy. And people who had never, the majority of people who came, other than Michael Cahill, who has done it every year since the beginning, were new. And it was really, it was really exciting. Like new to Newmarket, some people who had just been here for a long time but just had never done it before.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and I should say Dan Smith also is one of my regulars. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And I forwarded that information to our town engineer because that's something that the town engineer can use toward our MS4 permit. Citizen involvement and cleaning up trash is something that she can report on. And then the only other item is our next meeting, which our next regular meeting is November 2nd, but we do have a budget workshop on the 26th. No, 29th. Sorry, I was looking in November. On the 29th, I'll be participating remotely.
It'll be in this
downstairs.
room. Probably this room.
Okay.
Yep. Because of Zoom, if you're going to do remotely, it's easier for here.
Right.
Okay.
And that's it. So seeing no other comments, I will consider us adjourned.